Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day today. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny and I am starting a new series where I'm going to deep dive into some of the world's best whiskey distilleries, and I thought what better way to start than Macallan. Macallan is definitely one of the world's most famous Scotch whisky brands, but what makes it so expensive? What makes it so collectible? Why do people call it the Rolls-Royce of whiskey? Let's go into the history and you can tell me what you think. The Macallan was officially founded in 1824 by a barley farmer and a school teacher named Alexander Reid. It sits on the Easter Elchies estate, right in the heart of Speyside, just above the River Spey. Whiskey making on the land does predate the official licence. Like a lot of Scotch distilleries, Macallan originally started distilling as an illicit distiller and then only became legal later. From the outset, Macallan became known for their particularly small stills, and that became really integral to their style, and still to this day, small stills is a huge part of what makes the Macallan unique, and it's very distinctive to them. They're short, squat and wide, meaning there's more copper surface area to new make ratio, and it gives a sort of oilier kind of style. We'll go into some of the bottles from my personal Macallan collection soon, but for now, cheers. In 1868, the distillery was rebuilt by James Stewart and then acquired by Roderick Kemp in 1892. Kemp had this vision of quality and consistency, and the distillery remained family owned for decades. By the mid 20th century, Macallan became known as the malt for blenders, but also gained a following as a single malt, particularly in sherry casks. And then in 1999, Edrington bought the brand and they started really doubling down on Macallan's premium image. They spent a lot on branding and marketing. They invested very heavily in oak casks, and eventually they built the new distillery. In 2018, that £140 million distillery opened, and it's one of the most impressive distilleries in the world. It was designed by the architecture firm Roger Stirk Harbour, and it's built on a hillside. The distillery itself is absolutely beautiful. It's got this grass covered roof that just kind of blends in with all the Speyside scenery. There's this stunning glass walled still house. There's this visitor centre that looks like an art gallery. But despite this very modern design, they went to great lengths and worked really hard to preserve the original feeling of the Macallan. They replicated the original stills and the processes exactly so that they could still preserve Macallan's house style even as they scaled up massively. It's very whiskey meets architecture meets luxury branding, and it really does show you exactly where Macallan sees themselves within the whiskey world, the whiskey scene. Something extremely integral to Macallan and to what they stand for is their 6 pillars. You'll see this on a lot of their boxes and in a lot of their branding. The first one is their estate. This is where the barley is grown. There's also their curiously small stills, which is, we kind of briefly touched on that before, but their stills are really small and that's very unique to the Macallan. There's also exceptional oak casks. This is a big one. Macallan sources Spanish oak, seasons it with sherry and Jerez, and then uses that to make its whiskey, and that is a really big part of the flavours and the tastes of the Macallan whiskey. There's natural colour. None of the Macallan has any caramel colouring added to it, and all of the gorgeous dark shades come from the casks that it matured in. There's the sherry seasoning. So Macallan sources its oak casks in Spain and then seasons them with sherry and Jerez and then uses those to mature their whiskey. And there is mastery, which of course just means they're a very, very skilled team of whiskey makers. The point is that oak is king at the Macallan. They've said that up to 80% of the flavour comes from their oak casks and what that brings to the whiskey, not from the distiller. This focus on wood, particularly sherry seasoned European oak, is what gives Macallan its very, very signature distinctive flavour profile, which is very fruity, rich, deep and oaky. So let's talk about the whiskey itself. Macallan's core range is broken down into 3 main families. First, there is the Sherry Oak series, matured entirely in Oloroso seasoned oak casks. They have a 12, 18, 25, 30 and a 40-year-old. This is the heart of traditional Macallan. Very, very signature to their style. Then there's the double cask range, which uses American and European cherry oak casks, and it adds that sort of vanilla note to the whiskies. And then there's the triple cask series, which uses both of those sherry types and also ex-bourbon casks, and that's sort of a lighter range. Beyond the core range, there are many limited edition bottlings and series. There's rare cask, there are ultra luxury bottlings like the Red Collection, the M series. One of their most famous ever ultra luxury bottle that ever released was Macallan the Reach. It's very famous for its presentation, which is 3 hands. It's an 81-year-old whiskey, absolutely spectacular. I do want to show you a few bottles from my own personal collection. This first one is from the Harmony Collection. The Harmony Collection is a limited edition series. Every year they release one, and it's supposed to celebrate Macallan's innovation. This is the latest addition to the Harmony Collection, and this is the Guardian Oak bottle. This specific edition is actually one of the bottles created to celebrate Macallan's 200th anniversary, and this one's a collaboration with Cirque du Soleil, as in the production circus company. I do also have this bottle from the Harmony Collection. I believe this was the second ever release in the Harmony Collection, and this one is the Intense Arabica bottle. This one is inspired by coffee makers. It says on the bottle, our whiskey maker Stephen Bremner has taken inspiration from the Arabica coffee bean from Ethiopia, which is said to be the birthplace of coffee. This is brilliant whiskey and really good hearty coffee notes. This is another bottle in my collection. Now, I'm a bit wary showing this to you because I actually wasn't super impressed with this bottle. This is the Macallan 12 from the Colours collection. This is an airport exclusive bottle. I actually did really enjoy the whiskey. I just think this was maybe a little bit overpriced, and I probably could have bought better whiskey for the amount of money I spent on this. I think this was about £70. So that being said, the last time I was in the airport, I did try the 18-year-old from the Colours collection, and that was brilliant, absolutely fantastic whiskey, so we'll let this one off. Macallan is not just another whiskey distillery, it's a really powerful brand. They have collaborations with Lalique, with Bentley, with artists. They dominate whiskey auctions. They make incredible, beautiful drams. They appear in James Bond films. You might remember the 1962 Macallan in Skyfall. They've built this really luxury image that's often imitated but very rarely matched, and that's what makes the whiskey so desirable but also so divisive. Some people think Macallan is extremely overrated, and some people think it's well worth the price and fully justified. I have to say that for me personally, I'm a little bit on the fence. I think there are some drams that are absolutely well worth the spend for that extra bit of luxury and that quality, but there are definitely some that are expensive. Either way, it's hard to argue with the quality of their cask program. It's second to none. So overall, Macallan make some excellent whiskies, particularly if you love a very sherried oak rich style. Macallan you can't deny it, they make some great bottles. Macallan has definitely worked for and earned its place in whiskey history. There's a reason that connoisseurs and collectors keep coming back for it. I would love to hear your thoughts on Macallan. Is it a brand that you like? Do you think it's just overpriced? Is it a bit too overrated? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Follow for more.